part of what Disney does these days when they start releasing numbers as kind of press releases is they make them misleading. They move the goalposts and change the way they're reported so you can't compare apples to apples. But when you actually kind of think about things, it's like, oh, this is actually not a good number. And that's what is happening with Agatha All Along. Now, I watched episode 3 this week for you, and this is going to double as my review with this. But I'll talk about exactly what I thought about the show as it's going forward when we look in these ratings as well. But obviously, these PR companies know that the MCU is really on a downward spiral. It's not doing well, and it's pretty simple. They made a show in a superhero universe that's geared towards boys, and then they made it into some like wine ant show, not geared towards boys, geared towards middle-aged women. And middle-aged women don't really want to watch a superhero show. And it's not a superhero show, but it's in a superhero universe. And it's really weird. It's like, just make superhero shows out of the superhero universe. It's not that hard. But this is the problem with SJW writers. They always want to make things their own, subvert expectations. They can't actually just do what a property is intended to do. So you're never going to have these a just straightforward superhero show unless there's some sort of diversity element to it, right? If they can slam a message into it, they might do it. But they want to like make their quirky, weird little things and make their own little pet projects rather than actually do something that says Marvel Comics and makes it look like Marvel Comics. And simple, the audience tunes out because everybody came in here for Marvel Comics. It should be something these guys should figure out, but they can't. My name's John Delarose, everybody. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Join us here. I really appreciate you being there and appreciate everybody in the community. I'm a comic creator myself. I've got a newsletter, which I'd like you to get on because I do my book releases, talk about that sort of thing on here. And I've got a superhero series, Flying Sparks. Now, this is 6 volumes long. I actually have a full superhero universe, which has a couple other different heroes in it too, Dynamite Thor and the Cosmic Warrior. And I'd love for you to check this out right here. This is a free PDF. It's the full first volume, like a full graphic novel I give to everybody on here. So that's in the description below. I've got other links. I've got a Substack where I talk about cultural articles. I've got a Subscribestar and Patreon. Of course, I would love for you guys to join our community. Thank you guys so much for all the support so far. Start reading Flying Sparks for free. It'll be great. So Marvel is attempting to find its mojo after a big win at the box office on Deadpool and Wolverine. Again, they just made Deadpool and Wolverine, a silly popcorn superhero thing. That's all people want out of a Marvel movie. It's not that hard. It was crafted by outsiders, not the template for what Marvel has been using for the last year. Secret Invasion, The Marvels, Eternals are a better representation of what Marvel's been up to as of late, because those are actually done by Marvel Studios internally. Although there's strong rumors that Kevin Feige is working to right the ship, Agatha All Along is another show that fits neatly into what Disney superheroes have been like for the last couple of phases, not superheroes, like WD Pro is getting at. Unfortunately for Disney Marvel, this means the results are looking like failures. And of course, here is what they've been saying. This is reported to Variety. And you know that Disney's leaking these numbers from their people intentionally because all these numbers are not public anymore. So anything that comes out just comes out of the mouse. It is a PR thing. 9.3 million views on Disney Plus in the first 7 days of streaming. Now, I was going online and all the SJWs out there going, oh, see, it's a success. Imagine having that many views. The chuds are lying. It's not get woke, go broke. Now, you got to remember, these are very expensive things to produce. And you got to remember that the Acolyte came out earlier last year to 11 million in its first week. Okay? And actually, that was in the first 5 days. So they didn't compare apples to apples. They actually added 2 days to get to 9 versus their last show, which was in 5 days, was 11. So not only did they have like a 20% drop, but they actually added 2 days of data in order to try to even get to that level, which means what was the first 5 days? Was it at 7 million? Was it at 5 million? Wow. This is not a good sign for Agatha All Along. And it's just because of what it is. It's very simple. The show's actually not terribly done. I watched the first couple episodes. I did a review last week. The first episode was actually solid. The second one, went a little fruity for my taste because it's a bunch of like middle-aged elderly women and a gay guy who's like a young gay guy to make it diverse, I guess. And they're forming a coven together. So they went down this thing called the Witch's Road. Now I'll get into my review now for episode 3. This is where they found the road in episode 2. And in this one, like, there's this like house that they find in there, and they end up going inside, and it's like laid as a trap. And it's really funny because this is definitely, I say this show's meant for wine ants. And immediately they show up, and there's a bunch of glasses and a bottle of a Rioja wine, which I like Rioja. That's my favorite kind of wine. If anybody wants to get me some gifts. And that's I just smirked to myself. I'm like, wow, this is they're leaning into the wine ant thing. And so in there, spoilers at this point, if you care, they have the wine ends up being poisoned. They have a timer that's set that they have to figure out how to get rid of the poison before things close, or they're all going to die. And it actually, was pretty well paced, pretty well done, and they're brewing a potion in a cauldron in order to save themselves from this as an antidote. So, it's the witch theme. It actually makes a lot of sense. Now, in this, they added some horror. They had a lot of fun with it because it's just wine ants drinking wine, of course, and it's silly. But they added some horror elements that the poison that they ingested caused hallucinations as well. And those hallucinations were very, very horror inspired. A couple of them were almost, actually scary. I mean, it's Halloween time. They're obviously releasing this around this time of year for a reason. And, they do the cauldron. They do the typical trope of superheroes, which is you try and then you fail, and then you try and then you succeed. This is a standard comic book way of doing things. And you always missed something when you tried and failed, and you have to come up with we actually needed something else. And they actually just need the blood of the unpoisoned to put it into their thing. So they cut the gay guy's hand, put it in there. Gay guys shouldn't be blood donors on this. You never know what he just gave to the witches there, but that's another story. And then they all got healed, except for one of them died in the process. And it's really funny. At the end of it, like the way out of the house that opens is they have to crawl into an oven, which is very creepy. And then that oven actually opens up and leads down this like water slide type of thing into this like weird tropical kind of environment. It reminds me of like a Charlie and the Chocolate Factory thing. And like I said, the episode, I didn't like episode 2. I thought episode 1 was pretty decent. It was a decent setup. And the concepts, they've all kind of lost their powers, and they're trying to get them back together before like these evil witches come and like destroy them. And so they're on this like witch's road, which is like a magical realm or whatever, and trying to recover their powers doing this. And it was a lot of fun. This one actually had good witch themes. Like it felt like witches. It did. It didn't feel like they were magical Harry Potter witches, but like more classic style ones. And it was interesting. And it was pretty well paced in this third episode, and it actually made sense as a plot. Now that by itself is vastly better than the Acolyte, which didn't even make sense at all. None of it did. But the thing is, like, it's still a Marvel show, and it's still like, I tell people, like, they're trying to make Charmed, but make it with like 50 to 60-year-old women rather than like, little hot starlets like in the 90s. And there's just not really an audience for that, and that's why this is not going to work. Even though it's okay, I wouldn't call it great by any measure, but it's watchable. It is, at least so far. And so it's not like Disney did the worst possible thing here. It's just the concept was a weird one. Agatha as a character is just not a leading character in a show. Like, I mean, that's just nonsensical. I mean, it'd be like they don't make Agatha comics in Marvel. She was a Fantastic Four side character. And so that's the problem they're facing here. And the ratings are gonna collapse more because the 2-episode premiere was not inspiring. Like I said, the 3rd episode was better. But you're kind of too late at that point, and we're gonna see a pretty big collapse in the ratings in this, and this is not gonna go well like they thought. So I don't know why Marvel's doing this kind of thing. I don't know why they can't just make the superhero shows that people want at this juncture. And I don't know why they go out there giving these fake deal. Percy Jackson debuted with 13.3 million views in 6 days. The Acolyte hit 11 million in 5. You can see how they're just changing the days numbers so it's not the same. And they call Agatha All Along roughly on par, but that's not on par. 13 million in 6 days to 9 million in 7 days is quite a drop. I mean, that's a like 30% less. That's definitely not on par. And we saw in the top 10 list that came out of streaming shows that Agatha All Along this week was not on it, and that's a bad sign for Disney. So while the third episode's all right, this is failing, and it's just because you just got to pick a lane. And with the Marvel properties, this is a stupid concept to be doing, period. Leave a comment down below with what you think about this. Hit the like and subscribe button. I tell very straightforward superhero adventures. You're going to love this. Grab it on my newsletter for free. Read the PDF. Thank you guys so much for reading. We've had a lot of awesome comic fans join us over the last couple of months. It's been amazing. I appreciate you for being there. We'll be back soon.